today as the team leader. One of them came in, they introduced me. She said, "Don't ever pick up again." I go, "Oh." She goes, "You're over there smacking too much." I was like, and I don't. Since then, 14 years ago.
I would have said, I'm chewing my gum.
Oh, we're live.
Oh, okay.
Pardon my
All right.
right there. All right, let's get started. First of all, thank you all for being here today. I know that business is ramping up. And I know, how exciting. I was looking at the numbers for April and I'm already super duper excited, especially since it's just April 1st. But I also know several people reached out to me and said they couldn't be here today because business. And I know, Kyle, you're going to be heading out a little bit early. You got an appointment, so that's okay. We are live streaming this, so you can go back anything that you missed if you have to leave early. Everybody else can get this story as well. So thank you for being here. Lunch is running a little behind, but it'll be here. We'll eat as soon as we're finished, okay? I would like to welcome our friend, my friend, that I think it was probably a year or maybe 2 ago.
2 years ago, I think.
That I said, you need to come to Norman and chat with our people. Athen is an agent at Keller Williams Elite up in Oklahoma City, one of my favorite, next to my favorite market center. and Athen, I know her from ALC Clinic and just being present in their office. And I am just so amazed at what she's created in her business. And I wanted her to come in and talk to you and share a little bit about what she's doing. So before we get started, why don't you just give a couple minutes, and I didn't even tell you that's what you're going to do, but talk a little bit just about you, where you're from, how long you've been doing this.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Athen Andrade. Like 70 said, I'm at Elite. I've had my real estate license about 5.5 years. I am actually originally from Dallas and went to Oklahoma State and graduated from OSU. Go Pokes. And well, there's a longer story. I actually started at OU, but I'll save that for another day.
Thank you.
I got love everywhere, you guys. And funny enough, and I can get into this later, but actually one of the best things that could have ever happened for my business actually is having connections at OU and also at OSU. So got a job from the career fair at OSU my senior year and was only supposed to live here a year, and got a life, got a boyfriend, bought a house, got a dog, and didn't like working for that anymore. So got my license, and the rest was history.
So were you raised in Dallas? Is like home?
I'm actually from California originally. And you telling your story was really similar to mine. My parents got divorced. My mom was originally from Dallas, and so my dad stayed in California. My mom moved back to Dallas, so mostly raised in Dallas, a little bit of California, but
Gotcha. But you call Oklahoma home.
I do. I am an Okie now. So
Awesome.
I make too much money here. I can't leave.
There you go. That's right. So what inspired you to get into real estate?
This is not a glamorous story, but I actually was in alcohol sales before I was a realtor. And if you guys don't remember, back in 2018, I think they opened wine into grocery. And so I had been promoted to be one of the grocery managers. And honestly, it just was not a good environment. I knew I loved sales and I loved helping people. And unfortunately, there's a really negative, sad side to alcohol sales. And I didn't like seeing people showing up at 10 a.m. buying liquor at Byron's anymore. So I really wanted to do something different and do something that I could serve and make a difference instead of making a negative difference in my mind. So that's kind of boring, but
actually it really isn't. I would just say it tells us a lot about you and your character. So that had to have been hard. That was what did you do before? And that was what you did before.
Yep.
Okay. So was there like a defining moment that moved you into real estate, or was it just, I need to do something different? How did you pick it?
So, I've always been in sales. I've always loved sales. And I think a lot of us in this room probably feel that same way. When I was 16, I really wanted to work and make my own money and be independent, very similar to who I am today. And I got a job at Main Event and I was a party host, and I made a lot of money doing that, a lot of money. And I loved making money. If you've ever met me, I talk a lot about that. I think money is a great tool in the world. And I just loved sales. And I was at the time thinking, what could I do if I changed careers that would allow me to move back to Dallas still? I was still on that mindset of moving back home. And there were a couple of things that crossed my mind. I thought I could be an event coordinator or doing something else with sales. And if you guys have ever heard of Eleanor Hutton, she was with Elite for a long time with Brett Boone. I was friends with her because she had sold a friend of mine a house and we were just close. And I told her I was thinking about making a career change. And I really will always say this till my last breath. Eleanor was really the one that pushed me to get my license and introduced me to real estate. And if you know her, she's very pushy. So and we love her for that. And she said, you're joining Brett's team and there's no questions about that. And get your license. And I said, okay, that sounds good to me. I was only 23 years old. I didn't really know my way around life yet. And I thought, okay, I've got this older kind of big sister helping me. And so, yeah, Eleanor was instrumental part of me getting my license.
So did you join Brett's team?
I did join Brett's team.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, I was on Brett's team for about 6 months. And after that, and I know this is one of your questions, so I won't give too much away, but
well, go ahead in case I don't ask that one.
Okay. So the trajectory of my real estate career, I was with Brett for about 6 months. And if you don't know Brett Boone's team or how they operate, they're very big on online leads and sign calls and things like that. And after about 6 months, I saw myself consistently closing a lot of deals with people who I knew, my friends and people I went to college with. And I thought, why am I giving this when all these people are my own leads? And so having a few conversations with them, we ended well, and I love them. And I think they run an awesome team. But I just realized I had something really special with my sphere and I wanted more money and I felt like I deserved it. So we parted ways and I ended up going to a smaller boutique brokerage for a couple years and quickly outgrew that. And also they didn't have a cap and I didn't like that because I wanted more money. Do you guys see a theme here? And so I interviewed a couple other brokerages and realized I needed to go back home to Elite. And I've been there almost 3 years now.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I need to ask this question.
What?
Who didn't have a cap?
Solus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was with Solus with Chad Corey and Casey Kaiser for a couple years. And again, loved them. I just wanted more money.
I need to ask you about this. What is it with wanting more money? Why is that important?
I think that money is the tool in life that gets us where we want to be and what we want to do. And it's probably a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. I had paid Solus $45,000 in 2020. And I just thought that was a lot of money that I could go use that money and go hire leverage and resources and get an admin and be able to get a little bit of my life back because I was working 14 hours a day. So it's not so much about the money, but it's what can the money do for you and how can it create, as cheesy as it sounds, a life by design, right? How can we use the money for good? So I just realized it was smarter for my business to go somewhere that had a cap.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm going to go back just a little bit. What was the first year in real estate like? That first 6 months of doing online?
Yes.
Was that hard?
Yes. So I will say a lot of what I attribute is really to Brett and Eleanor and how they run their team. They're very strict. And for me, that's good. I like rules. I like regimen. I like to have a calendar and a schedule. So they taught me a lot about that. But the first 6 months was actually really hard. I didn't close a deal for 5.5 months. And I remember a lot of tears and a lot of stress and thinking, is this really what I want to do? And how am I going to pay my mortgage? And I think a lot of questions and thoughts and doubts we all have when we first get into the industry. But after I had my first closing, it really just snowballed. And of course it was 2020, but I ended up closing 40 deals, about $11 million worth of real estate. So my first year it was busy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely. If you could go back to that first year, what would you do differently?
Higher leverage sooner. But on top of that, I had read that question. And I think what I want to say with that is I was an individual agent for a long time. And then when I first went to KW, I grew my team very quickly. I had about 6 agents and a full admin and a marketing coordinator. And I hired too quickly and that imploded on me for a number of reasons that we can get into or not. But Going back, I wish I would have hired slower
Mhm.
and I would have used career visioning on the hiring process, because if you guys get to know me, I'm very warm and I want to be everyone's friend. I mean, I'm a realtor. Don't we all have that bug of sociability and friendship and community? And it was like, I hurt you and you hurt me and come be on my team. But I wasn't saying, hey, these are my standards. I expect you to be in the office 3 days a week, and I expect you to lead gen and call 20 people a day, and I expect you to do an open house every Sunday, and these things that I did not express up front, and that was my failure as a leader and failing forward. But that would be one thing I would change is just learning how to hire slower and using this instead of this.
Yes. So tell us now what your team looks like.
So as of right now, I have a transaction coordinator. I kept my marketing coordinator on. I have one buyer's agent, and then I just recently hired a showing assistant.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So just going back a little bit, what are your lead gen strategies? What are your levers? What are your 3 or 4 or however many that you consider your top ones?
So Stephanie probably knows this, but of course you guys don't. So I really pride myself on my business is 100% referral and sphere. I wish I did, but I don't get a lot of sign calls. I really don't do a lot of marketing. So everything I do are people I know or friends of friends or past client referrals. And as as silly as this sounds, I talk to people directly. I text them and I check in on them, and I do a lot of social media, but not in the way that everybody's like, I do social media. It's about connecting with people on social media and paying attention to their lives. And I joke a lot, I'm always on Instagram, but I'm working when I'm on Instagram, because I'm seeing who's getting married, who's having babies, who's not posting pictures with their husband, who, you know, I mean, I'm
Right.
serious.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm almost 30 years old, and I'm telling you that first wave of divorcees, myself included, it's happening. And people get married, they need to move. They get divorced, they need to move. They have babies, they need to move. And this is fresh on my mind because I just taught Ignite yesterday at Elite about lead generation. So I am in people's DMs all day long, constantly messaging people. I looked back the other day and I was like, on average, how many people am I talking to a day on Instagram? 40 people is who I'm messaging daily. Mm-hmm. And I think people overthink it. People are posting about their lives. They want people to interact with them. All you're doing is a self-fulfilling prophecy. But whenever I see, I mean, I'm just thinking about silly things, but somebody posts about their baby, I'm messaging back, oh my gosh, I want to eat that baby up. It's so cute. Like it's nothing crazy. It's just, I'm interacting with people in their lives and I'm paying attention. So I would say social media is a big aspect of that, as well as posting. I have just a personal Instagram that I've had since I was 16, and that's what I post my life on. And I think we have a really rare opportunity with our careers. We have a really cool job. Every time you guys go somewhere, people are probably asking you, so how's the market? Like, people want to know what is happening in our jobs. We're not accountants. We're not attorneys. People care about what we're doing. And so with that, I tell everybody, your job is all encompassing. And if you don't feel like real estate and family and God and your dog is not all one, you're doing it wrong. I feel like I live and breathe real estate every day, just like I live and breathe my dog and what running everything that I do that makes me. Real estate is an integral part of that. And so with that, I always urge people, post on your personal Facebook, post on your personal Instagram. If you're at a showing, post it. If you have a new listing, post it. If you're doing an open house, post it. Sorry for the men, but for the girls, what's your outfit of the day? People care about that. It's so silly, but it's true. So I definitely always recommend post as much personal as you do business. Don't overthink it. But I definitely say that's my number one. And then the second thing I do that I would say is pretty integral to my business that I've really taught my clients to expect now is I do quarterly pop buys. These are really inexpensive, just little gifts that I drop off to people's houses. Speaking
like
of
what?
So
give us an example.
For spring, I did some kind of luxury type, not like tree, like cheap car fresheners, but I did a really nice car freshener that cost me $3 a pop. And I bought 1,000 little brown bags on Amazon and some crinkle paper, and I threw them in there, and I printed a business card size little note from Canva that said, "We hope your year is off to a fresh start. If you have any real estate needs this year, we're happy to serve you and honored to be in business with you." And I think total that cost me less than $4. And on Leverage, I used to drop those off by myself. I now have about 250 people who get those. So I am leveraging that out to my marketing coordinator's friend who's dropping those off for me this week. But that's what I'm doing for the spring.
So I want to go back to 1 second. I love that, by the way. Going back to your social media, are you just doing reels, posts, or is your marketing person handling some of that?
I do everything myself.
Yeah.
And part of that is, that's just something I never want to leverage, because that's in a way why people love me and want to work with me, because I think I'm hilarious, you guys. But
you are.
But I think when you are leveraging out something like that, it loses the genuine connection, because I don't expect my marketing coordinator to get on and know who my friends are, who I'm going to interact with. And I say all this, I do have a professional Instagram for my team, but that's more legitimacy. If you met me on the street and you wanted to look me up, I just like having something there. But the core of my business really is the personal Instagram. And with that too, I mean, I've got 3,500 people following me on my personal Instagram. On the work Instagram, it's like my mom and the lenders that want to work with me and other realtors. Like, those people aren't buying the houses, you know?
Right.
So definitely posting things that come from contribution on Instagram for sure.
Gotcha. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about your social media, because how your nurtures, if you want to nurture people on social media, is it just the interaction? Is this just the constant interaction and staying connected to them?
So yes and no. This is kind of going to be a backwards answer, but I think what I've really learned over the past couple years of having people out of the blue. I'll give you an example. Sunday, I got a message from a girl I went to high school with. If you weren't paying attention earlier, I'm not from here. I'm from Plano, North Texas. And I get a message from a girl I played volleyball with when I was 14. And she's like, "Hey, Athen, I don't know if you remember me. It's Logan. I'm looking to build a custom home in Norman for $850,000. Y'all do the math on that commission. Remember, I like money." I'm like, "What?" And she was like, "I live in Ardmore. My husband's from Oklahoma. We live here. Could you help us find some builders?" So I say all that to say, I haven't interacted with this girl in 15 years. I wasn't even following her on Instagram. I don't even know she followed me. But she's watching.
Yeah.
She's paying attention to what I'm posting. And so I know that's kind of a backwards answer, but part of the nurturing is the consistency of posting. I would say at least every day, if not every other day, I'm posting about something real estate related. Like, I'm just thinking about something silly. Friday, I wore a really cute outfit because I had a closing. I took a mirror selfie and all it said was closing day. I'm not saying anything else. All I'm doing is just a subtle reminder. Hey, I have a closing. Hey, I sell real estate. Hey, I'm a realtor. Don't forget. And so it's just those little subtle hints that people are paying attention, whether you get interactions or not. I would say, again, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see this, but I'll post about a new listing and I'll get 12 likes. I'll post about me on a bachelorette trip with my friends and I get 400 likes. People are still looking at the real estate, even if they're not interacting with it. And so that's just something I learned a while ago, is people are watching, even if they're not interacting. And that is the soft touches that people are not realizing, because they're like, well, nobody's liking it. Nobody's messaging me. I promise you, they're watching. They are waiting until they need you. And then they're going to reach out.
And then you have to sprinkle it with all the puppies.
Yes. And I've done a social media class at Elite, but something I tell a lot of people is your social media in a way should be curated. And I don't mean anything that's overthinking. I just mean, outside of real estate, who are you? What are your core things that you're interested in? For me, that's running. I'm a marathon runner. I love to run. If I'm not working, I'm usually running. The other thing is I'm very in the community with dogs. Stephanie knows that. That's why she just said that. And my job is to constantly give you subtle reminders. Hey, I run. Hey, I'm a dog mom. Hey, I love to travel. Because you not only want to be the real estate expert of choice, but you kind of want to be an expert in these other things that makes you you. And I don't have kids. I don't have a husband. So that's kind of my thing. If your kids are your thing, that's amazing. If your husband is your thing, that's amazing. But find what makes you you and share about it. People want to know what's happening in our lives. People are just naturally curious. And so with that, when you become the expert on running, I can't tell you how many people have texted me, hey, I'm looking into getting into running. I have no idea where to start. What type of shoes should I buy? Hey, let me go refer you to this local business. I like to support Red Coyote. By the way, I'm in this running group. Let me introduce you to this community. Come run with me. Come walk with me. By the way, how are you? How's that apartment you're living in? Oh, funny you say that. Our lease is up in 6 months. I've been meaning to talk to you. So I say a lot, I don't lead generate. It's because I'm attracting people to reach out to me so that I then have a warm opening to say, hey, by the way, what's your living situation like? And I'm a realtor. They know that. That's not weird for me to ask. And if they are living in that apartment and they want to live there for 2 more years, that's fine. What's your address? So I can give you a gift every quarter and remind you that I'm thinking about you.
And when you're ready, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Very good. I love it. I love it. Okay, we talked about your team. So it sounds like social media, and I'm going to tell you the reason I wanted to talk to you is because Mo Anderson is the one who was just ranting and raving about you and your social media, because she was floored that you could produce this much production from social media. And that's how I immediately was attracted to you too. And then I started following you and I was like, I know why. I know why, because it shows up there. So, okay. So how do you convert? But I'm not even going to go into conversion. I know how you're converting. You're asking the questions and staying connected. So we talked about your platforms. And I think I wrote on here, how do you balance authenticity and business promotion on social media? And I think you stick with, how do you do that? I'm not even going to answer that. How do you balance the authentic Athen and making sure you're reminding them that you're in business?
I think the short answer is don't think too hard about it. I'm very quirky. Like I said, I think I'm hilarious, whether people think that or not. And I just don't think too hard about it. Like if I'm on a walk with my dog, that's content. If I'm cooking dinner, that's content. If I'm traveling this weekend, that's content. I think every single thing you're doing, and I really, maybe I should rephrase it. You guys are interesting. I am interesting. Post about what you're doing. Make it interesting. And I think a lot of that is just my gut and intuition. I've been doing this so long now, it's just second nature to me. But I feel like what I hear a lot from people, it's just like lead generating. People are scared. You're scared to call people. You're scared to post. You're worried about what people think of you. Stop thinking about what other people think of you. I promise you, nobody cares that much about what your story is for 24 hours. If you think it's stupid, I guarantee you nobody else thinks it's stupid. And if they do, you don't want to work with them anyway. So I feel like part of that is you can't just post business. You have to let people in on your lives a little bit. And I think it's hard sometimes for people to be open and vulnerable on social media, but I think that's why I connect with people. I'm very open and honest too about being a business owner. I currently have 70 text messages right now. I post about that sometimes. I'm like, hey guys, I'm not doing okay today. I got a lot going on and I'm overwhelmed. I'm putting my phone away for the day. Thank you guys for understanding. And I just feel like when you're honest like that, people are going to gravitate towards you because it is just being genuine. And I think sometimes as business owners, something I've learned is we're so scared to not be perfect. And we're so scared to not be responding to clients within 5 minutes. And I think that honestly is really unhealthy and it's a way to get burnt out really quickly. And so I just think being your most genuine, authentic self is the way to get people to like you and want to work with you because you're attracting people who are like you.
Right. Well, I want to talk about that for a minute because we're talking about like what it's like now. If someone's saying, I've not really gotten into the social media, I really want to, but how do I get started? How does one kind of take the plunge? How did you get moving in this direction?
My first step of the recommendation would be find your identity. Find those 2 or 3 things that are you outside of real estate. And if you guys don't follow me, I of course urge you to go follow me. But when you go to my Instagram profile, I tell you exactly who I am in the first 2 seconds. If you go to my profile, it says on my bio, I'm a dog mom, I'm a runner, I'm an adventurer, I'm a realtor. Those are my things. I'm literally telling you what my things are. So go find what your things are. Go put that in your bio so that there's no questions about it. Who are you? And then remember those things and start posting about those things. And I think the best advice is to just do it. I mean, like I said, anything is content. I remember when I first started, something I did was, because I didn't have any business yet, I was doing an open house every weekend. You guys, nobody understands that listing is not yours. I remember I was posting doing an open house every weekend and people were messaging me like, oh my God, you are doing so amazing. You are so busy and you just started. How are you doing this? And I'm like, what are they talking about? And the lay person who's not in real estate, they don't know that those things aren't your listings. And so I follow a girl who does a new listing Friday, and every Friday she posts a listing. I guarantee you 80% of the people who follow her have no idea that that's not actually her listing. And so fake it till you make it. Do an open house every weekend and post about it. I remember, I will never forget, I think the first thing I ever posted was I was making coffee at the office and I tagged the location as Keller Williams Elite, like ready to start the day. Anything can be content, anything. You're sitting in the conference room with your computer and you're just working, pretend it's a buyer consult. Consultation with buyers, like nobody knows, you guys. So that would be my biggest suggestion is if you're not busy right now, there's a lot of ways to curate it to make it look like you're busy without being dishonest. And really just be consistent about that and post about real estate at least once a day in your stories.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I'm not going to go there. So we're going to talk about your habits. So what are some daily or weekly habits that you have now that, oh God, I should have asked you this question before I just asked you this question. So what are some habits that you have put into your life to keep you moving in the direction you want to go?
I think for starters, because my days are sometimes hectic, putting everything if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist. I am very regimented. So I have on there every day, I'm meditating, I'm working out, what time I'm waking up. Every single thing goes on the calendar, pretty much besides when I go to the restroom.
Do you have timers set on your phone?
I don't do timers,
okay,
but I'm pretty OCD about checking my calendar every 5 minutes. So I definitely suggest living by your calendar. But I think on top of that, I know this sounds silly, but simply put, I'm just posting on social media. I mean, that's really what I found is my thing and I'm good at it and I have good intuition about it. I would say on top of that, there's a couple other small marketing things I do just within my sphere, which is a monthly email. My marketing coordinator helps keep me accountable to that. So I pay her to make sure that goes out every month. And then I also do a monthly postcard that is just real estate related. Very simple. It's either just listed or just sold with a little blurb on the back about, whatever the story was. Make it something that people can relate to and be human about it. I think sometimes we're so robotic with work. It doesn't have to be that serious. Our job is fun. We should act like it's fun. So I would say those really are my biggest things that I make sure I do is the pop buys, the monthly postcard, and the monthly email.
Okay. So are you doing any client events?
I do. So I do one client event a year. And I know other people do more events. When I started doing this, I realized that kind of having just one event really makes people just look forward to that one event. Maybe I'll add some more later on, but I do one client event a year. And I do a Christmas movie event. So I rent out a theater at Showbiz up in Edmond, and I play a nostalgic Christmas movie every year. So we've done Elf, we've done Home Alone.
Did you do Die Hard?
So I actually think I'm gonna do Die Hard next year for the sheer fact that it will be a conversation starter.
Right.
And so I do that one event in December, and I feel like I love doing it in December because that's really the time when everybody's work lives slow down a little bit. We're a little bit slower. It allows me the opportunity to see people sometimes once a year if I don't interact with them throughout the year, if we're just not that close in the same circle. So I've had really good turnout with that. And I also usually add something in there that is part of my identity. So every year, one year we did a homeless alliance and people brought socks. And then another year I did bring your used towels and blankets for OKC animal welfare. So people really like that. I feel like because it gives them an opportunity to give back, but it's low commitment. And then everything that they bring, I give them a raffle ticket and they're entered to win. I've done like ranch gift cards. I've done Andrade Realty Group merch. I've done champagne, just little things to get people excited about donating. But so far just one event a year, and it's quite expensive, which is why we only do the one event a year.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably. So I want to ask you about coaches, mentors. Have you been working with coaches and mentors along the way? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So like I said earlier, honestly, Brett and Eleanor really helped me. They taught me how to run a successful business, I should say. And one of those things we talk about, what am I doing consistently? I'm showing up at the office at 9:00. I mean, I think we forget that sometimes. We're like, I worked so hard today, and I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes I don't start work till 11. That's not good. We could get so much done if we just showed up at 8 or 9 o'clock. And so that's really something that Brett and Eleanor instilled in me is going to the office early and having those first 30 minutes to collect your thoughts and get your things ready for the day. And then, you lead gen or you focus on those things and you do appointments in the afternoon. I feel like I really stick to that schedule. And then I'm actually on my second MAPS coach. So I had a MAPS coach for a while and I feel like I outgrew her, which I think is something we feel guilty about sometimes, but I think it's okay to outgrow a coach. And that old coach was very big on mindset. I'm great on mindset. Yeah. And really what I need help with is higher level things. Like, how do I become a millionaire in the next year? And how do I make sure my financials are operating smoothly? And how do I make sure that my TC is doing what she needs to do and my showing assistant and my buyer's agent? And so I was looking for more. So I currently have a MAPS coach and I love her. And I feel like she challenges me on a lot of those things. And Terry, don't even make me say her last name. It's like Chimlewski or something. She's out of Ohio, but she is wonderful. If you want her info, I'm happy to send it. But she is awesome. She is a part owner of her market center. And those are aspirations that I have. And so I think with that, my point is it's okay to outgrow your mentors and coaches sometimes. And then I would just say too, at my office, Christy and Mary have been instrumental in helping me. But I talk about my team. I just hired my showing assistant like 2 weeks ago. And part of that was my coach telling me, you need leverage because you're about to run yourself into the ground. And sometimes I need to hear that because I'm a workaholic. I'm sure a lot of you are in here as well. And having somebody remind you work-life balance and how can you leverage the way you want to and things like that is so important.
Right. Okay. What's the best piece of business advice you've ever received?
Spend less than you make.
And
don't spend it before you have cashed that check.
I'm sure no one in this room has done that.
and I will say on a deeper level of that, I actually just recently read this book and I highly recommend it to anybody looking to further their finances. It's called Profit First. Has anybody read that here?
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. And so that is something that is really my number one goal this year. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, this book really talks about smart business practices and how you need 5 different bank accounts. Really, it's like 7 bank accounts. And making sure you're paying your taxes, making sure you have enough in your operating account.
You say bank accounts, you mean at the same bank account?
Yes. Yes. And on that, MidFirst will do it for you for free. A lot of people charge. So if you guys read that book and you want to implement it, MidFirst is amazing for that. But that would
You
be,
know your personal finances?
no, not yet. We're getting there. I also need to do my rental properties, so we're getting there slowly but
I'm
surely.
gonna show you something later.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
a spreadsheet.
I love it. I'm not a spreadsheet. I'm like, I need the money. I want to spend it. So.
I love her. Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit
Can I say
because
real quick before we move
Yeah,
on
yeah,
to
yeah.
anything? You mentioned not spending it if you don't have it. What's the best money you spent?
The best money I've spent.
Yeah, what's the most impactful money you spent?
This is a boring answer, but buying rental properties. The first year I was in real estate, I was doing really well. Like I said, I had sold $11 million of real estate, and I had a lot of money in the bank, and I was 24 years old, and I really wanted a new car, you guys. But I bought a duplex instead, and that duplex cash flows me almost $1,000 a month, and I'm really glad I bought it and was smart about it and didn't blow it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I implemented that really early of living below my means. I lived really uncomfortably for a long time in a really small house in the village that was cheap and old and always had problems, but my mortgage was $800 a month, and I saved and saved and saved. And I own 7 properties now, even after losing 2 when I got divorced last year. So I really feel like, and I say all this, by the way, this is kind of my screw off year. I worked really hard, and last year was really hard for me. And so this is my year of fun. And so my second answer to that would be recently the best money I've ever spent is I'm going to Paris for my 30th birthday. And I spent a very expensive ticket on a first class plane ticket to be able to sleep like this on the plane. And I'm really happy I did that because I feel like I deserve it, and I work hard, and I've put in the fruits of my labor to be able to do that. But on top of that too, just feeling like in 30 years, I'm going to have 7+ houses paid off. That's my retirement plan. I think that's so important because as agents, we don't have 401ks. We don't have HSAs. We really need to start planning now of what the future will be. For what? Money?
Savings and investing.
I do. I have a SEP. I have a Roth IRA, but I'm very much invest in what you know. And my mom has had rentals her whole life. I feel like I just have a good gut intuition about good buys, and I get a lot of great off-market things because of my own clients and get good deals because I take 6% off the price. Would highly recommend that you guys buy your own listings before they hit the market. But to answer your question, my main form of savings is through my homes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We just started doing it to where it's a little more liquid elsewhere because it was so heavily in the rentals. It just kind of became, yeah.
And I will tell you, that's really where I am this year is I live by the seat of my pants a little bit on that is I really, and this keeps me motivated, so I don't recommend this, but I usually only have a couple months of expenses at a time in my bank account because every time I buy a house, it's $50,000+. And so right now this year, what my screw off year is I'm trying to get my savings to a point where I have a full year of operating expenses for business and my personal expenses, so that if anything were to happen, I'm now being a little more responsible, where if I don't work for 6 months, I've got the money. So
you should put that in the Vio account that's typed in first because they're paying 4%.
Okay, cool. See, and my private banker was talking about putting something in like a money market account for like my 6 months of expenses. Yeah, but that's something I need to work on. Is I actually was looking at this the other day, and I have no secrets. You guys ask me anything, but in my homes, I have like $700,000 of equity. And I'm like, this is so awesome. I feel rich, but I can't do anything with it. And so that's kind of how I'm feeling right now is I've worked really hard to get these properties. I love all of them. I think they're great locations and great rent and all of those things. And so now I want to be a little more liquid with my cash.
There you go. Okay, so I want to talk a minute just about the ALC. So you sit on the ALC. How did they get you to do that? Because it's like pulling teeth. No. How long have you been on the ALC? And why did you feel like this was something for you?
So that answer is a little tricky, but the reason I say that is I'm just a tryhard. I don't know how else to say that. I'm an overachiever. I always have been. I've always been involved with school and I was a studious student, and I like being a leader, and I like making a difference, and I like giving back. I just think that's who I am to my core. And on top of that, the ALC is something bigger than me. It's the health of the market center, and I'm part of that market center. If I'm able to play a positive role in serving and contributing to my fellow agents, I want to be able to do that. And I think part of that too is, like I said, Brett and Eleanor, they really held my hand for a long time, and they could have gone off and done their own business, but they sacrificed time to train me and develop me. And I want to pay that forward and be able to mentor and help other agents get to the best version of themselves. And I think as agents, we're always moving so quickly, we forget about that sometimes. And I really wanted to be able to give back to the market center to pay it forward to what was given to me.
That's beautiful. So thank you for your service. Thank you for that. So how many, because I know especially in your market center, it is a standard that your ALC are referring people that you want to be in business with to your team leaders. So how many people do you have in your downline?
So I think total I have about 20 people. That's not direct, but only being there 2 years, 8 months, I think, something like that. 20 people is a lot.
Heck yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So what do you do? I mean, did you want to be a recruiter?
No, but I like money. Remember that?
So how do you do it? What do you do? How much time does it take?
So there's a couple different answers to that, but going back to the social media, I'm reminding people how awesome KW Elite is. Like, look at this awesome breakfast bar we have, or look at the community space we just made. On top of that, I am really lucky to be at a market center where we've got someone like Shelby Cummings and Patricia Ailing who have been in real estate for 30 years. I have developed a personal relationship with them now, being on the ALC, where if I have a question about a rental, I can call Shelby, or I have a question about a listing, I can call Patricia. And so I think that's an easy selling point to say we've got some of the best veterans at our market center, and we also really just breathe a community of support where even if someone joined KW yesterday, they could call Patricia and she would answer and help them. And so I think it's really just trying to implement a culture of we're one team and we work together and we want to help each other. But on top of that, just posting about social media. And it's funny you say this. I got a call on the way down here from a gal. I think she's at Hamilwood, and she had some questions about a listing she needed support on. And I said, what did your broker say? And she's basically no help to her. And I said to her, girl, you're at the wrong place. Like, they're not providing you support. You're calling me at another brokerage, and I'm not even supposed to be giving you broker advice. I can tell you what I would do, but it seems like that, where if you become somebody that people look up to and they want to ask you questions, that's a really easy segue to come from contribution and say, hey, by the way, these are things that my leaders and my veterans taught me at my market center. Why don't you come have a conversation with Mary and Christy and see if this would be a good place for you? So I think friendship first, business second, and having people get to know me as Athen, and then later on saying, okay, I'm Athen at Keller Williams Elite. Let me tell you why it's an awesome place to be here. And it's kind of the same thing with the clients on the sidelines who I don't know are watching, but they are watching. It's the same thing with agents. Agents are really happy with where they are until they're not. When they're not, you want to be that first person in the line of defense who they call.
Right.
And
it's that connection.
And I'll also tell you the personal side of that is I want to be able to make as much money as possible. And this is truly the only passive income that you can make. Because I'm telling you, my rentals are not passive. That is a lot of work. And so I think the most I've ever gotten one month was $900 from my downline. And that's just money that went into my bank account. That's crazy. All I did was tell people how awesome my brokerage is. So just telling people that. And then I also try to recruit new agents. If I see somebody who's good in sales, or I have a friend who's looking to do something different, hey, have a conversation. Come talk to us about K-Score. And let me tell you that you could probably get your school sponsored if you don't have the means to do it. So I just think being educated about what's going on in the market centers so that you can talk about it's really important.
Right. And by the way, do you know we have K-Score? So if you know anybody looking to get into real estate and they may not have the means, we're happy to sponsor their real estate school. Keep that in mind. Thank you for that little plug.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wanted to make sure we have time for questions. I have a couple more minutes for you. So, so if you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing? A dog rescue?
Probably.
No, I know.
Honestly, probably. Yeah. I don't know. I'd be doing sales, I'm sure, but I don't even know. This is just, it's my passion. It's what I feel like I was meant to do. So I think some way or shape or form I would have gotten here anyway.
I love that you have followed this path and you are doing it in the way that absolutely suits you. It's who you are and you love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what shows, and people see that and they're attracted to that. You're a program of attraction. I think that's the case. So,
well, and I think on top of that, if I might also add to that, I also think real estate in general, or realtors in general, sometimes being an actual realtor may not be for you, and that's okay. I've seen a lot of people at my market center. I'll take Andrew Briscoe, for example. He was struggling as a realtor, and I think part of that was it wasn't his passion. It wasn't what he felt in his soul, what he wanted to do with his life. He wasn't in love with selling real estate like I am. Now he's a videographer and he's killing it. He's making so much money. He's so happy, and that's really his passion. And I say that to say, if realtoring isn't for you, there's so many other things you can do in the real estate world that may suit you better.
Yep. Follow that. Follow that. All right. If you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would they be?
Oh my gosh. That's a good question. Audrey Hepburn, because she's my idol and I love her.
Why? Okay.
She's classy and fabulous and a hero. She did a lot of AIDS work, so I just love her and I just think she's so fabulous and classy. I think the second person would be my grandma, because I miss her and she passed, and I probably would just want to have dinner with her again. And who's my third? I'll be a teacher's pet and say Mo Anderson, because I love her.
I'm sending this to her.
I love
just for that.
I love that.
Okay.
To have an hour with Mo Anderson uninterrupted, the best. She's the best.
What didn't I ask you that you think this group would love to hear? Because do you know what I didn't ask you about is your new mastermind group.
Okay.
Real quick.
Well, I'll do two answers on that really
Okay.
quickly. One piece of advice that I would give everybody is find your own brand within Keller Williams. We have this really unique opportunity. I'm looking at it right here. I love this wall. I think it is amazing. Make your own brand. If you need a graphic designer, call me. My sister's a graphic designer. She made my symbol. Go find what is your thing and make yourself different, make yourself stand out. My logo is the Lake Hefner Lighthouse. I'm very committed. It's on my arm. But the reason mine is the Lake Hefner Lighthouse is because that's where I run. And it means something to me, but it's also a great marketing symbol. Every time somebody drives past Lake Hefner Parkway, I want them to see that lighthouse and think of me. So if I could give a piece of advice, make yourself different, do your own thing, and get your own branding done. So that would be a big thing. The second thing is Stephanie's talking about a gal group entrepreneur group I just created this year. It's called Girls Gone Wealth. And again, maybe a boring answer, but really what sparked this idea was I had a very messy divorce last year. And I realized, as educated and smart and driven and entrepreneurial and career woman as I am, there were things that I didn't know or understand. Just for example, my ex-husband worked a W-2 job, and having to navigate health insurance, no longer having a nice 401k that I would have access to when I'm older, a lot of things that unfortunately you kind of have to think about yourself. And I thought, how many women are out here not thinking about these things so that they can protect themselves? And this is really personal and vulnerable, but I was pretty open about that on social media, about struggling with getting divorced. It sucks. If you've been through it or you haven't, you know. And I've actually got a lot of clients from that, because people who are going through this need advice and calling me, especially women. And so I just realized that I felt like there was a need to empower women and teach them about financial literacy and careers. And a lot of what I heard was, I wish I could divorce my husband, but he pays for my house and he pays for my car and I can't leave him even though he's not great. And that makes me sad. We have one life to live. And if you're financially stuck with somebody, that's not fun. And so how do I educate women to be independent and be on their own and empower that? We have a great set of skills that are different than men, and how can we change the world with that? And so that's kind of how it got started. And I wanted it to be an entrepreneurship group, and it's kind of turned into this realtor girl group, which I still love. So now I'm actually using it as a recruiting tool.
There you go.
And instead of a client recruiting tool. But more than anything, just genuinely, it's great to just have women come together and support each other and stuff like that. So yeah.
All right. Well, we have a few minutes left. I wanted to leave it open for questions. And then it looks like lunch is here. Colton, is lunch here? Okay. But let's open it up for some questions first. And then we'll let everybody grab some lunch.
You said you interact with like 40 people a day on social media, whatever. Are you looking for a call and response, or are you just like wanting to make a little comment? So it's just like they're kind of thinking about you.
Okay, I'm going to repeat the questions because we're
Okay.
so we might not hear. So he's saying you interact with about 40 people a day. Are you responding? Are you just DMing? What are you doing?
So mostly it's people who have stories up. I am responding to those. A trick
Are you just hearting them, or are you saying something?
I'm messaging. Well, I'm doing both actually. So if
He
you
asked if
guys
he was hurting or just
or just
yeah.
So for the hearts, I don't know if you guys know this. If you don't post a lot of stories, you may not. But people who heart your story, when you go back and look at your own story, which we all do 100 times, you're lying to me if you don't say you look at your own story constantly. And you're looking who viewed it and how many views. When somebody hearts your story, they pop up as the first person. So I'll use my boyfriend as an example. He likes every single one of my stories. And so he's always top of mind because I always see him as the first person who hearts my story. Well, if you think about that as the opposite, I'm hurting everyone's story because I want to be that first person they see when they go back and look at their stories. Hearting stories, maybe not every single one, but if I like it, I'll heart it. And then I'm responding back to them. So to answer your question, it's no call to action. It's nothing exciting. It's someone got married. You look absolutely beautiful. Congratulations. Somebody's posting about their baby. Oh my God, he's so cute. Someone's posting about their dog. I will say something that I really look out for is coming from contributions. So I just saw the other day, a client of mine, actually, I was so mad. I was like, why didn't she text me? One of my clients posted and was like, hey, I'm looking for a roofer. What are your recommendations? And it was like one of those drop down things to send them a message. Well, I just texted her and I said, hey, I saw your story. You're looking for a roofer. Here you go. And so trying to come from contribution as much as I can, but also just being personable and reminding people who you are. I rarely talk about real estate. It's not, hey, how are you? Have you thought about selling your house yet? It's nothing like that. I'm posting about that, and I know that they're seeing that. And so it's not so much that it's keeping the personal relationship, because I also think we forget sometimes it's not just about who's going to buy and sell a house with us. It's who in their sphere of influence do they want to refer to us. And I think we forget every single person we know has a sphere of influence, and we want to tap into those people so that they are not only using us, but also referring us.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Tom.
Hi, what platforms are you using, and are you designing different content for different platforms?
Great question. Oh, sorry.
That's
Go ahead.
okay. Tom's
I keep forgetting.
Which platforms are you using, and are you designing content for each one?
So I have my Instagram and my Facebook linked. So any story I post on Instagram also goes to Facebook. I will say, just because of my age, I love Instagram. That's definitely my number one. I'm not a TikToker, again, because of my age. I'm too old for that and too busy. I can't be on that. But definitely Instagram. I will say things that, like, I'll give you an example. I went to a concert on Friday and I posted that on my story on Instagram. but I actually posted it to my feed on Facebook because I want people to think I'm fun. And so that would be something different that I wanted actually on my timeline on Facebook, that I wouldn't necessarily want that on my timeline on Instagram. I feel like Facebook is more, it's okay to post a little more often on your actual timeline versus Instagram. I really keep it more story focused than post focused. You're welcome.
I just friended you, by the way.
Oh, perfect. Yay. I'll follow you back.
I'm usually gonna refund you.
I love it. Defriend me and then refriend me. I will say on top of that too, something I did early on that I know some agents do. A lot of agents don't though, and I don't really understand that because this is like the easiest free marketing you could ever do. For my very first closing, I always post a key photo on my grid. You'll see that a lot if you follow me on Instagram. Lots of key photos. And I got smart and I said, well, why am I using Chicago Title's key every closing when I can make my own key? So I made my own key on Etsy. And it is to the point where I have trained my clients because they see it every time I go to closing. People are like, "So are we taking that key picture? When do we do the key picture?" Like people expect it now and they want to be posted. And so little things like that you can do. That's not salesy of me posting. I'm congratulating my clients. Clients don't always want to post it themselves, and so that gives them the opportunity to reshare it. And it's showing people you're busy. So that's a big thing I do is the key pictures.
That's good. That's good. All right, just another minute. Any other questions? Huh? All right, Athen, you're amazing. Thank you,
Of course.
Thank you. All right, time to eat.
Yay.
You hungry?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Good.
I mean, I have questions, but I'm trying to.
I know. Yeah. I didn't get to even half of them, but that's okay.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Now I do want to have you come down and take the social media class.
I have it ready. So I actually